So the next thing we look for are the pupillary responses. Now, the eye movements, it's important to know that they are controlled through various pathways in the CNS, and they tell you a lot about the cause of the coma. Now, depending on where the lesions are, the eye movements will tell you a different story. So this is a very good, nice, picturesque summation of all the gaze responses, abnormalities you see. Broadly, we can divide it into conjugate eye movements and disconjugate eye movements. Spare my grammatical error here. This is Y, not I. So the conjugate eye movements are movements of both the eyes in one or the other direction together, and disconjugate means that the eyes move in other opposite directions. That is, one moves in one direction, the other moves in another direction, or just stays in the same place. So now the conjugate movements are if they are away from the side of weakness in the body of a person. As you get a patient who has one-sided weakness, and then the eyes are moving away from that side. That would suggest the lesion affecting the frontal eye field on the opposite side of that of the weakness. So, if for the sake of simplicity, I was to show you what it means. Let's try to draw something here. Okay, let's make sure we get this here. So imagine, I'm not very good at drawing, but imagine that this is the brain, and so imagine that we get the brain here. So okay, so this is the brain here, and we've got the broadly speaking, frontal lobes, parietal lobe, and the occipital lobe. And if you draw the ventricle, these two are the horns of the lateral ventricle. So if you think about the frontal eye fields, areas of the frontal lobe on either side of the lateral ventricles, just in front of the primary, the somatosensory motor cortex. These are the two frontal eye fields. What the function of these eye fields are that they help move the eyes in conjugate directions. So for example, if you stimulate this particular frontal eye field, imagine that I have drawn two eyes here. So this will cause movement of both of the eyes, their gaze, in the opposite direction. Okay. So for example, if you've got lesion on this side, it will cause weakness of the right side. So left side stroke or a tumor or whatever will cause weakness of the right side of the body, and hence the movement of the eyes, because of this eye field which were supposed to go that direction, will be impaired. This eye field will be acting, and so what it will cause is movement of these two eyeballs towards this side. So not the right side but the left side. So the movements will affect the eye movement, the frontal eye field lesions, for example on this in this side, will cause the movements of the eyes away from the side of the weakness, right? So this eye field will be moving the eyes in that direction. Just to sound more clear, this frontal eye field, when it is blown, will cause weakness on the right side, and then the opposite frontal eye field, which is in action, will cause these eyes to move in the opposite direction, which is opposite to the side of the weakness. Okay, so that's how the frontal eye fields work. Now similarly, if towards the side of the weakness, that is movement of the conjugate movements of the eyes, that would suggest a different etiology or cause. So it could either mean the patient has ongoing seizures. Now what does that mean? When a seizure occurs, for example, maybe on this side, abnormal electrical brain activity that is causing abnormal body movements of one side of the body. Now in this case it will be the right side, right? So the left frontal the left hemispheric portion of the brain, when it is seizing, will cause the movements which are all opposite to that side, that is the right side of the body. And it will, because it's stimulating the frontal eye field, naturally cause movement of the eyes also to this direction, which is the side where the seizure is ongoing. So that is one differential. Ongoing seizures will cause movement of the eyes towards the side of the weakness. And why am I saying weakness even in case of seizures? Because after seizures, as you might know, that there is something that is known as Todd's paralysis that might occur. But otherwise, there is another reason why this might happen. When you take the brain stem, for example, this is the brain stem coming down all the way here. So this is the midbrain. Then you have the pons. The pons is like a pregnant woman, basically. Not able to draw it very well here because we're seeing it from the back. So imagine this is the pons, and then you have the medulla here. So we have the gaze centers in the mid pons region as well, on both sides bilaterally, which are one of the paramedian reticular formation. And a lesion of one of these will not cause the eyes, as over here, to move to that side, that is the opposite eye field, causing the eyes to move to the opposite side. Rather, what it will cause is it will move the eyes wherever the lesion is. So the lesion of the paramedian reticular formation on the left side, for example, here it is the right side, will cause the movement of the eyes to the right side and not the opposite side. Okay, so that's also one reason why the movement of the conjugate movement of the eyes will be towards the side of the lesion. And then there is fixed gaze deviation, that is, for example, downwards gaze deviation, as you can see over here. So the eyes are fixed in a downward gaze position, and you try to move the aspiration to look up, they won't be able to, or just that the eyes will be fixed in that down